Hi friends, this is Sunil Joseph. Having almost 13-14 years, I was working into software industry. I was designing the projects, developing, and because of the passion of training, so now coming into training session, and my three areas of specialization. One is Android mobile application development. The second is Java J2EE technologies, and another is PHP. So today I wish to give some introduction about Android. So at this point of time, compared to any other technologies, the technology or the type of application which has got a very good demand in the market, that is mobile application development. So why this mobile application development has got this much demand? It's a very simple question, because the use of mobile phones is drastically increased. The use of mobile phone is drastically increased. So when we see, as per the survey, the world population is almost above 7 billion. So out of that, almost 5 billion people are using mobile phones. That means the use of mobile phone is drastically increased more than a desktop computer or a laptop computer. That itself will tell you the need of mobile application development. Nowadays, every domain client, whether it is banking sector or healthcare or medical or insurance, whatever sectors are there, every sector clients wants their applications to be mobile enabled. So because of that, I wish to give some introduction about Android application development, mobile application development using Android. So what basically Android is, or what is the purpose? As we've seen, the purpose is nothing but mobile application development. What is mobile application development? Mobile application development is the process by which application software is developed for a small, low power handheld devices. Small, low power handheld device such as smartphone, tablets, PDS and all. That's what mobile application development is. Now how these applications we can get? How these mobile applications we can get? We can get mobile applications in three ways. We are able to get the mobile applications. How we will get the mobile applications? So we will get the mobile applications in three ways. One is, for example, when you purchase a mobile phone or a tab or something, by default, some applications are already pre-installed on that. That is one way of getting. Another is, once you purchase a mobile phone with the help of internet, you are able to connect to some application store, something like Google Play Store, and from there we can download the application. That normally we does. And the third thing is, we can develop our own application. That's what we are going to study. We are able to develop our own applications. That's what mobile application development that we are going to use, we are going to do with the help of Android. So mobile application development is a process by which application software is developed for a low power handheld device such as smartphone, tablets, PDS and all. It is coming in three ways we see. So objective is, we want to develop our own applications. Now to know that, before coming to this application development, let us see what is actually mobile operating system is. We are all aware of different operating systems like Windows, Unix, Linux, Solaris, Macintosh, different operating systems. So every operating system is a set of programs used to manage the hardware devices. Simple definition of operating system. So operating system is a set of programs used to manage the hardware devices. The same way, if you're having a smartphone, if you have got a tablet, we need to have some operating system, because the devices also has got some hardware parts to manage that, mainly hardware abstraction layer. Hardware abstraction layer. So what we require is, we need to have a mobile operating system. So some of the mobile operating systems that we are having, some of the mobile operating system, you might be heard about that, something like Symbian. It is actually developed by Symbian Incorporation. Then now later it is taken over by Nokia. Now in the process, Microsoft is taking over that. Another mobile operating system we have got something is BlackBerry, product of RIM, Research in Motion. Another is iOS, iPhone operating system, product of Apple, a well-known mobile operating system. We have got WebOS, product of HP, Hewlett-Packard. Then we have got Bada Samsung, Windows Mobile, and the same way we got Android. So from that explanation itself, we can understand Android is a mobile operating system. Android is a mobile operating system. Now, what is the speciality of that? When you talk about Android compared to other operating systems, mobile operating system, what's the speciality of that? When you talk about Android, the speciality of Android is Android mobile operating system is open source. You can download it and use it free of cost. So, what is Android? Android is an open source mobile operating system. Who developed this? Android Incorporation. In Android Incorporation by Andy Rubin and his team has developed this mobile operating system, Android. But later when Google thought of entering into mobile market, they acquired that company and they formed a consortium. They formed a group of experts from different categories of companies like mobile manufacturers, mobile operators, hardware manufacturers, software companies, commercialization companies. They formed a consortium and it was called as OHA, Open Handset Alliance. So what is Android? Android is an open source mobile operating system developed by Android Incorporation and it is maintained by OHA led by Google. So Android is not only a mobile operating system. For definition's sake, we can say Android is a open source mobile operating system, but Android is a suite of, Android is a collection of three things. It's a complete stack of three things. One is an operating system based on a modified version of Linux operating system. It contains a middleware that's called as SDK, and also it contains some core applications. So Android is a suite of, Android is a stack of three things. It contains a mobile operating system and it is based on a modified version of Linux. It contains a middleware SDK. Using that we can develop our application, and also it contains some core applications. Now when we talk about Android, it's when you develop an application, that application can be loaded into any device which is working on Android. Whatever the applications that we develop, that application can be loaded into any device working on Android. So what are the devices which are available? Which are the devices which are working on Android? So which are the Android devices in the market? So we have got normally smartphone, we have got tablets, we have got e-reader devices, we have got netbooks, we have got television sets, we have got MP4 player. So like that, different devices, etc., etc. So many devices are there which are working on Android. So the beauty of Android is whatever applications we are developing, that application can be loaded into any device. Only the condition is that should be working based on Android. So which are the different devices available in market? Now before coming to the subject, let us see what are the different versions of Android platform. When Google took over Android, from that time onwards, Android platforms are available. Different SDK version, platform versions. So each version of Android is identified in three ways. One is platform itself. Another is code name and API level number. So when Google took over that, from that time onwards, it was from Android 1.5, it was called as Android 1.5. When OHA started maintaining that, it was called as Android 1.5. It was called as Cupcake, and the API level number. So as a developer, when we are developing an application, we have to specifically mention based on which version of Android we are developing our application. Based on which version of Android we are developing the application, and also another important thing we have to specify is on the application what you are developing can be loaded into which device. So we should have some idea about Android operating system, different versions, and each version has got some features are integrated. We'll see what are the features also. Now let's see now what are the different versions. Android 1.5, each version has got a platform, it has got a code name and also an API level number. So when we develop the project, we will specify API level number. So API level number should be known to a programmer. So we should know that when we are developing an application, what is the corresponding API level number, we should have an idea. So Android 1.5, it is called as Cupcake. Its API level number is 3. 1.6 .NET, the corresponding versions you can see on the backside screen. What are the different versions which is mentioned there? 1.3, 1.4, 1.5, 1.6, 1.7, 2.1, 2.2, 2.3, 3.0, 3.1, 3.2, 4.0, 4.0.5, 4.1, 4.2, 4.3, 4.4, latest version. Very simple way you understand C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K. Cupcake, donut, eclair, froyo, F, froyo, H, honeycomb, I, ICS, ice cream sandwich, J, jelly bean, and K, Kit Kat. And the same way, the corresponding versions also you can see on that side. So as a programmer, we can say we are going to develop our application based on Android version 19, and that application can be loaded into Android device version 3, API level 3, so that whatever the application you are developing, whatever features you are integrating, if it is supporting an Android 3, you can load that. Otherwise, it will give a compilation error at the time of programming. That we'll see in our programming part. So we have already seen that Android is a suite of 3 things. It's a stack of 3 things. Android contains a mobile operating system, Android contains a middleware SDK, and Android contains some core applications. Now let us see in depth of what is that 3 things. So for that we are going to discuss about Android architecture. So what basically Android architecture is? So when we see the bottom layer, so from bottom to top approach, when we see the architecture, the bottom layer what is coming is Linux kernel. Above that we have got libraries and also Android runtime. And above that we have got application framework, and above that core application, 4 layers. So actually 3 things. The 2 things, libraries, Android runtime plus application framework, combines together to form the middleware SDK. So when we see that Linux kernel, we know that any operating system, the main purpose is HAL, hardware abstraction layer. It is used for power management, process management, memory management. All that things can be done to the system level is done by Linux kernel. It has got driver softwares to manage Wi-Fi, camera of your mobile phone. We have got IPC binder to interconnect the application, inter-process communication binder. We have got display drivers, so like that different type of driver programs. So like any other operating system, the Linux kernel is also performing the same thing, because Android is a mobile operating system based on a modified version of Linux. Now just above that Linux kernel, we have got libraries and application environments, application runtime. So application runtime comes with Java APIs, Java SE APIs, JDK 1.5 and above, Java SE APIs and Android APIs, plus I use a term Dalvik virtual machine. So when we talk about Android application development is mainly happening using Java language. So normally when you develop a Java application, we will compile the program, then we will execute it. We use JVM, a stack-based virtual machine, JVM. But in the case of Android, the virtual machine used is DVM, Dalvik virtual machine, which is a register-based virtual machine. JVM, stack-based virtual machine, DVM, register-based virtual machine. So that comes under that 3 things comes in the Android runtime. Then in the second layer, one more thing that is coming is libraries. Libraries are developed in C and C++ language. So we have got so many parts we can see in that screen. When you see that, we have got Surface Manager, which is used for display management. So libraries, we have got libraries are developed in C and C++ language. We have got Surface Manager, which is used for display management. OpenGL ES, Open Graphics Library Extended System, and SGL, Scalable Graphics Library, used for 2D and 3D graphics. OpenGL Graphics Library Extended System and SGL, Scalable Graphics Library for 2D and 3D graphics, mainly for game development. Then we have got WebKit. WebKit is nothing but to display the web pages, something like browser. SSL, Secured Socket Layer, to have a secured internet connection. We got Media Framework, used for audio and video management. We have got SQLite database. Most of the mobile operating systems, the database that comes is SQLite. It's a part of Android, it's an integral part of Android. SQLite is coming. Then we have got FreeType, an open source software which is used for rendering font vector to bitmap or image. Rendering font vector to bitmap images. libc, C library used to interact with the Linux kernel. So these are all some of the things that comes under libraries. Just above that, we have got application framework. That application framework is developed using Java. Using that, we are developing our applications. So one integral part is activity manager. So naturally a question will come, what is activity? So whenever you develop an application in your mobile phone, if an application, for example, contacts if you take. So there will be a launcher, something is coming, launcher activity, something is displayed. That's called as activity. What is being displayed, a building block of your Android application, is nothing but an activity. Every activity has got a life cycle of its own. That's done by activity manager. Another thing is content provider. You can see somewhere content provider, another important part. The content providers are used for making the data, shared data of one application shareable in some other application. Simple contacts has got so many applications. Call log information, incoming call details, outgoing call details, or missed call, that call log details can be accessed from my other application. The browser history can be accessed. That is done through content providers. Then the other way, notification manager. So whenever you are getting an email, whenever you get an SMS, whenever you get a missed call, all that things will be specified in the notifications window on top of your mobile phone or tab. That's called as notification manager. That is done with the notification manager. We got view system. View is nothing but components that we are developing in your Android application. Something like button, text field, checkbox, radio button, list view, time picker, all that components that we are using is nothing but the view system. Then we have got resource manager. So when you develop an Android application, we may use some views, we may use some images, audio file, video files, some XML files, layout files, all that additional things that we are using, that is done by resource manager. Same way we have got package manager, window manager, etc., etc. That comes in application framework. Using that, we develop our own applications. And above that, by default, some applications are available like calculator or a browser, some contacts, some applications are already built in. That is what applications that we are having. So this is what we talk about the architecture of Android, 4 layers. So, but we comprise it as 3. The Linux kernel, operating system. Android is a suite of operating system. Android contains a middleware, and Android contains some core application. So now we are going to talk about the Android application build process. So when you are developing an Android application, what are the different stages which are coming? So normally we know Android application is developing using Java language. So we will write our own Java programs. So we will write our own Java program, and in some other language we'll use some Java interfaces also may come into picture. We'll use some Java interfaces. So our own Java program or Java interfaces that we are getting because of some other tool, AIDL tool, Android Interface Definition Language tool, will generate some Java interfaces. And also, so these are the Java programs that we are having. Our own Java program we are writing. Then AIDL tool created Java interfaces. And as I told you, in an Android application, we have got so many resources. We have got images, audio file, video file, some XML file, for localization of data, all that things, that resources. So we may use different resources in an Android application. Now, whatever resources we are using in our Android application, all that resources will be converted to a file called r.java. R.java. Who creates that? A tool called AAPT. Android Asset Packaging Tool creates a file called r.java, which contains what the resources that we are using in our application. For example, simple example, I am using a button. So that button, how to refer that? When I want to write some event handling for that button in our Java program. So we need to get the reference of that button. How to get that reference of that component? It's nothing but a resource which is specified inside r.java, and it is created by a tool called AAPT, Android Asset Packaging Tool. Whatever the resources are there, all that resources can be referenced in your Java program with the help of r.java. So now we have got three types of Java program. One is r.java, the Java programs that we are creating, and some Java interfaces. It may come or may not be there in your application. Now all that Java programs are given to the Java compiler. All the Java programs are given to the Java compiler, and we know the Java compiler will create what? Dot class files. The bytecode file, Java compiler will create the dot class files. So we have got some dot class files, bytecode files, Java object code files. Then that dot class files, in order to make it as compact. So dot class files can be given to the JVM so that you can run that. But in the case of Android, we are using DVM. So whatever dot class files are there, all that dot class files are given to a tool called DEX tool. I use another term, DEX, Dalvik executable tool. It is given to a DEX tool, and the DEX tool may take some other additional dot class files also. Not only our dot class files, not only we are getting the compiled resources of our Java program or r.java and Java interfaces, some other additional dot class files, something like Google Maps library classes. That other resources, other dot class files are also given to DEX tool, and the DEX tool will create a single DEX file, Dalvik executable file. And that DEX file, along with the compiled resources of coming from AAPT. So AAPT, some resources are coming in r.java. Some other resources are coming, that's called as compiled resources, are coming to a tool called APK Builder. APK Builder. So what we are giving to the APK Builder in our Android build process? The DEX file, the compiled resources, additional resources other than r.java resources, specified resources from AAPT is given to APK Builder. And that APK Builder creates our Android application. That is nothing but .apk file. The extension of an Android application is .apk. So naturally we know C or C++ application. What is the extension of a C or C++ application? .exe. Extension of a normal Java application .jar. The same way the Android application extension is .apk. So based on this build process, one application we have developed that you can run on an emulator Android virtual device, or you can run it on a real device. But if you want to deploy this application into Google Play Store, some additional 2 more steps we have to do. So that we'll discuss in the later sessions. So thank you.